Black Stars coach Milovan RAJEVAC, according to Communications Director of the GFA, ASANTE, has given his squad to the FA. The team squad that has been named by Milovan was given to the FA over the weekend on Saturday and is undergoing some scrutiny. The list will finally come out on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, or later today, Monday. We'll be having a look at that lengthy interview he had with Joy News channel yesterday. We're also going to talk about Otto Addo and the assistants as well as their work. How can they be combining two jobs at the same time, especially with Otto Addo, who works with Borussia Dortmund? When will he join the Ghana Black Stars, especially Otto Addo? We'll have a look at all that today, but a few things he hit on concerning Milovan RAJEVAC and whether he can do the job. He says that Milo knows how to blend the youth and experience. He showed it in Angola 2010 and in South Africa 2010. On how they gave an initial one, or why they gave an initial 1 year contract, it was about getting a quick fix to the solution right away, setting clauses in the contract, and he knows he must hit the ground running. It's not that they do not trust him to deliver, but we think he's a top-notch manager who understands the system, who we believe will get us the results. On why Milo walked away last time out, it had to do with contractual issues. If CK Akono has been paid his 7-month salary, he says there are few outstanding, 7 months in excess, and he will be paid. A payment plan will be drawn for CK Akono. Why the assistant coaches and suggestions were made to Milovan RAJEVAC, and he settled on these assistant coaches based on their past experience, especially with the Black Stars. And why CK Akono was sacked, he said CK was not giving us the results we wanted. We'll have a look at more explanation, first of all, into how Milovan RAJEVAC was recruited for this second stint, and a whole lot of interesting things he talked about. Subscribe if you have not, and click on the notification bell to get more updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments box.
Not if indeed Milo applied for this job or the 3-member committee went for him.
No, he did not apply. The 3-member committee led by the vice president of the FA were tasked to find us someone suitable for the job within a 72-hour period. And so within that 72-hour period, they made recommendations to the Ghana Football Association. The report was submitted to the General Secretary within the 72-hour period. And that report was very detailed. I mean, they gave reasons why we shouldn't interview coaches, but rather they thought it was prudent for us to headhunt. Now, in the headhunting process, they felt they needed someone who understood the system already, who would hit the ground running, who would now come and try to experiment now understanding the system, wants to know the African terrain, and so they settled on Milo. So once they settled on Milo, the Executive Council needed to be informed to that effect. The report was made available to the Executive Council. We also needed to engage government. We spoke to the ministry, the Jubilee House, and the Finance Ministry. And eventually we were given the green light to go ahead with the appointment. So it is the appointment which had a few issues as regards clauses, tenure, and understanding of the situation and all that. But eventually Milo's lawyers were very professional. Our lawyers were also very professional. And we had to settle on a 1-year contract at the initial stages with clauses. If he's able to qualify us to the World Cup, he gets some bonus, so he must work hard to qualify us, and that will give him an automatic renewal.
But settling on the 1 year is of concern to many. That is it, that the confidence in him is not way up there, such that you just want to test the waters and see how well he performs before you give him more.
Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you want to
because it's always been 2 years.
You want to fix the situation straight away. I mentioned that certain clauses are in the contract, and he knows those clauses, and he knows he must hit the ground running and get us the results as quickly as possible. So it's not that we do not trust Milo to deliver, but we think he's a top-notch manager who understands the system, who we believe will get us the results. At the end of the day, it's about what he gives us and what we also make available to him. If we make his working conditions suitable, it means he will stay for a longer period.
Okay.
If it is that he feels the working conditions are not favorable, he has the right to walk away. And we, as an association, have made everything possible to convince government, to convince the Ministry of Youth and Sports to give him the needed, conducive working environment for him to succeed.
When the president at least made it clear that he's in favor of a local coach. So I would want to find out, you mentioned that we were in consultation with Jubilee House, Ministry and all. So far, would you say that the Ministry and government for that matter is in sync with everything?
They have our
we know that publicly.
We have their blessing.
Seen everything.
We have their blessing.
Even though they wanted a local coach.
We have their blessing. But for the fact that they agreed for us to bring in an expatriate, Milo wouldn't have walked, into the country in the first place. So lobbying is very important. Convincing the authorities are also very, very crucial in situations like this. You needed to convince government that indeed it is about time we look elsewhere. And that is why we brought in Milo. Milo is a coach who took us to the World Cup in 2010. Milo is a coach within the last 10 years. He is one of the 2 coaches who also took us to the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. In 2010, when there was no Michael Essien, Stephen Appiah, Suleiman Tari, John Pintel, and John Mensah, it was Milo who sent us into the final of the Africa Cup of Nations. And so he knows how to blend the youth and experienced players. He showed it in 2010 in Angola at the Cup of Nations. He showed it in 2010 in South Africa at the World Cup. Unfortunately, he couldn't continue his tenure. But he explained at a press conference, but he really, really wanted to continue. But he even worked for 1 extra month without a contract. Unfortunately, there was misunderstanding between the FA at the time and government as regards the continuation of his contract, and that is why he walked away.
Have you paid off CK Akuno? Everything you owe him?
There are a few outstandings. We've met him, we've discussed with him. The ministry will come back to us with a payment plan, and once that is made available to the FA, we'll give it to him.
Do you know how much exactly you owe him?
I think it's in excess of 7 months.
Okay.
Bonuses have been cleared.
Bonuses have been cleared.
We don't owe him bonuses, but he has some outstandings as regards salaries.
Assistant coaches, Konadu and Otto Addo. There's a question about whether it was on Milo's request or the FA just...
We made a few recommendations to him, and he settled on the 2. He settled on Maxwell because of his vast experience on the local front. And then we also wanted him to look around, look just across the globe and decide who will be best fit to work for him in the absence of getting a scout to look at our players and look at statistics and look at data in Europe. And so Otto Addo's name came up, and he already knows Otto. Being a coach, Otto is working for one of the best clubs across the globe. He works for Borussia Dortmund as a first assistant coach. At some point, he was stopgap coach, and he's played in the Africa Cup of Nations. He comes across with loads of experience, having played at the World Cup in 2006 and at the 2000 when we co-hosted the AFCON with Nigeria. Otto Addo was in the Ghana squad under Giuseppe Dosena. So with that experience and exposure under his belt, Milovan did not question why we made those kind of recommendations to him. So he settled on Maxwell Konadu because Maxwell has institutional memory.
Okay.
He was Kwesi Appiah's assistant when we qualified for our first World Cup. He was Kwesi Appiah's assistant when we played at the Cup of Nations in 2013. He was Avram Grant's assistant in 2015 when we finished second in Equatorial Guinea at the Africa Cup of Nations. So he comes across as someone who understands the local terrain. So when Maxwell is working locally, Otto gets to work, at the foreign front.
Okay.
And they bring their reports together and they report to the manager, and the manager gets to work with them.
What would you say to people who say that Maxwell Konadu has been put there for FA work in terms of you putting or fixing your players in the Black Stars team? Because at least he's there for the FA. That's the talk. I'm not sure if we make recommendations to Maxwell Konadu and he gets to the manager and the manager feels the player is not good enough, it doesn't work. I remember Milo's first game against Lesotho when he came for the first time. A game we won, I think 6-0 or so,
A certain Daniel Yeboah was playing for Liberty Professionals then. He was unknown. A certain Yawenchi was also playing for Liberty Professionals then. Now these players got the chance to play and they were featured and they were even given stats at the expense of players who were based abroad. So the manager decides who is eligible to feature in his team. So yes, let's say the FA...
But he didn't come with his own names, at least. This proposal was made to him.
No, we made proposals to him and he felt the proposals we made to him were...
It wasn't forced on him?
No, not
it wasn't.
at all. What I know is that Otto will be working as a service provider, at least for now, because having sought permission from his club Borussia Dortmund, they felt they cannot just release him. It will take time for them to release him, for him to come and work for us fully. So for now, Otto will be doing pay as you go. He comes to work during the international break and then goes back. Maxwell is here, and we are now negotiating with the ministry, and I am very, very sure that once we settle on a figure and it comes with the appropriate concerns of Maxwell Konadu, will make it known.
To go. Okay, submitted his call.
Yes, it's true.
He was sacked.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. He submitted his squad, I think on Saturday, to the National Team Management Committee. I'm sure he knew that he was going to continue. Unfortunately, when the Executive Council met on Monday, having studied the technical report from the technical team and the management committee, they felt we had to cut off or cut short our relationship